All right, here we go. There we go. Okay. So the question before the house is, how did I attach the wood? Now, there's a couple ways you can do it. I don't know, remember what the gentleman that demonstrated, what was his name? What, the gentleman's name, I can't think of it right now. Repeat the question, please. Repeat the question. Who was the guy that demonstrated last August? Okay, that guy. Keith. All right. Keith may have done the natural edge bowl a little different than I'm going to do it. Keith, natural edge bowl. Now, you can just take it like this and put a spur drive in it, 4 spurs. 4 spur. I had a 2 spur one that is used for heavy bark, and I thought I'm never going to do natural edges, and it's ideal for doing natural edge bowl. It just has 2 spars. You've seen these before, Jerry. It's just got 2. Oh, yeah. So I gave it to my wood turning buddy down in DeSoto. So he has a tool, but it's better for heavy bark. But what I did is I drilled with a Forstner bit, 2/8, on the lathe last night. You could do it. Now the shortcoming to this with Val with doing this is you can't adjust it as well, because the ideal way is you want to adjust this up and down and to the right a little bit so that the sap of the heartwood shows up in the bowl. Now over there, there's 2, there's a one out of this wood, oak wood, and there's 2 walnut ones over there. Yeah, sorry. Oh, because that one finished. Yeah. All right. So I did this one a couple months ago, and there's 3 over there to the right that are not finished. There's 2 walnut ones, and the walnut ones I worked real hard to move it around so that I could get the sapwood balance, heartwood balanced. I also used a recess, and one of the local artists said that doesn't best show the bowl. You should really use a tenon, because you get a little smaller and you can get a better arc going into it. To each his own. I asked him for his input, and so this has got a wider base, and of course wood moves. And anybody take the top thing today? Stop by for Top Cup, you guys did. Wood moves. Everybody together. Wood moves. Thank you. Okay, so these tops were turned green, and you can that's a good example. Pass it around. You can feel it. Feel the shaft. The shaft is where you can feel it. You also see it. What happens to the otherwise, I'd be, you'd figure out how did he make those things go oblong. So I wasn't here for Keith's demonstration, but I have. I gave Val a piece. I have some oak still that was cut down in March. It's been, this piece wasn't, but I have 3 pieces at home still. If you're interested, they're wrapped up in a black bag. They're not in the sun. They could be cut up into natural edge bowls. They still have moisture in it. Now I cut them diameter last night, so I wouldn't have to fool with it today. And sure enough, they had cracks in the ends. So the moisture's getting out. I've got 3 or 4 pieces left. If you're interested, I have some other at the house that if you're interested, we can cut up. If you don't want to do natural edge or do green bowls, you need wood that's kind of wet. The walnut ones that are over there, the piece was given to me in January. I left it outside. It was still too hot, still outside. And again, it was longer than the diameter I needed. I went 2 months and I cut it up, and it still had some moisture in it that would work. So that's available if you want. And the other thing I forgot, and I'm going to change something real quick. There's sandpaper in the other room that is pro bono, free. It doesn't cost you anything. So if you've got open hands, you've got pockets, you've got a dump truck, please feel free to take home some sandpaper with you. I don't think we'll be bringing it back. Not putting pressure on you, Glenn, or anybody, but you know, there is sandpaper. You want to take it with you, Jerry. It's in the other room if you haven't already got it. All right, so I am going to use the chuck. I'm going to chuck it into the Nova. I have Novas. Why do I have Novas? Chip Siskey asked me why I had Novas. I told Chips I had a buddy that had a Nova dealership, and that's why I got them. So I can see right now this is going to be off a little bit the way I centered it. So we're going to go ahead and turn it, and I didn't cut this round a little bit, but we'll turn it. I will get a eye protection on. Remember where I put my eye protection. There it is. Yep, left it over there. Thank you. And I will probably put the tail sock up just to help support it. Kind of like training wheels, if you will. And we're going to try to be done about 2:30, 2:35. And Wayne is going to do a demo on transferring in the other room. We had talked about it before, and Jerry reminded me that's what we were going to do. So we'll take a look. All right, so I centered it up. I didn't take the corners off, so be careful with that and take them off. Probably be using a bowl gouge. I have a couple ready to go. One to remove stock, a 1/2 inch and 3/8, and I got them ready to go. And we will check to see if that's on today. It's not plugged in. Okay, it's all right. All right. Oh, it's not plugged in here. Okay. Thank you, guys. Let's. All right. We got power. All right. This wood right here, pin oak. Neighbor had it. There's some disease that the pin oak gets. Anybody familiar with it? It gets these little balls that are on it. I don't know the name of it. Big tree, neighbor's thing was 40 feet tall. 2 of them took down. Small capital investment in tree removal. Anybody have an idea of what 2 40-foot trees are going to cost to take off? And I went down to ask the wood cutters for a few pieces of wood. He thought that I was asking them to open up the Fort Knox Bank. And they said, yeah, we could do it. So I got some pieces from them. I asked the homeowner first. I said, can I have some? And so they got me some. I really wanted some bowl stuff, but this for small bowls, this will work fine. So I had a disease. We're going to start with the 1/2 inch bowl gouge. I'm going to take the corners off. Get the corners off, and I'm going to look at this pith. I think on one of these I cut, yeah, the pith is pretty close. So we're going to have to take that down. Otherwise, it's going to cause us problems later on. But I will get that, take that down some. Bless you. And a couple of bowls I have over that are not finished. They still have the tenon on them, which they needed to be rechucked. you can see the effects because one or two of them have the tenon in them, and you can see how they start to split. And there's also a bowl over, it's called a bias cut, where you take a tree. Where's the camera? You take a tree, cut it 45 degrees, 3 inches. I turned that, I was thinking about demonstrating that, but it takes a little more time. We can talk about it later on. It makes an interesting bowl. It's offset. The pith actually runs through, and then you make the lip a little bit longer on one end. And I have an example of that over there. Still didn't get that all the way. And we've got a knot over here. So let's see what we can do to work on that. Sometimes when you're cutting green wood, it'll feel like that the wood wants to reach out and just grab your tool and suck it in. Get that out. No, that's going to come out. Okay, so I've got an inclusion here of a branch. I think we'll take that out and see what. Has anybody done a lot of natural edge or greenwood turning, where it's actually greenwood? Anybody? Wayne, tell me about a little bit about your experience with a mic. You get wet a lot, or you have fun? The downsides to it, the fun side to it?
Well, if it's really wet, which I've done some, it'll spray water on you like crazy. I did some apple wood one time, and I thought I had apple juice running down me. It was that wet. It was just, you could see it pouring off of there on the wall, everything.
Yeah.
I like turning. It turns easier with using not soaking wet wood, but what you got there. Much easier, much less dust than, because you get more ribbons coming off more than dust. Dry wood just gives a lot of dust. And it always, I like to turn till it's done. I don't like the style where
you don't return.
I never turn twice. I don't do that. Just, put it away and let it shrink. I turn it till it's done. So you end up with an oval shape, which, it just makes it different. Like, how did you make that oval?
Anybody else? Right here, Tom, Glenn.
Took a class at John C. Campbell, and we did mostly green wood. And it was pretty wet, so get water off of it. Well, you find out later when you try to wipe your mask off, it's sap.
Yeah.
And really can't sand it too much if it's that wet.
I'm sorry?
You really can't sand it that much if it's too wet. And the bowls I did were finished bowls, and when I brought them home, I waited a month or so and did the sanding and finish on them. So that's a different thing about them. No, I mean, Mike, I don't know how well you cut, but then there's me. But it'll just fill sandpaper right up.
Well, that certainly is, a couple of approaches. Like Wayne, he wants to turn to finish. Some people turn and then return it again. It's kind of a personal preference. I'm sorry? No, there are some guys that just will turn it a big bowl all the way green and be done and walk away and let it change. Others will turn it, let it dry, and then return it again. It just depends. Not everybody turns it green and just a once turn bowl. Some do let it dry. I guess kind of a personal preference. All right, so what I did here, Val, is, and the rest of you, is I put a recess. I cut it in a dovetail so that I can grab, when I turn it around, I can grab it with this chuck. And then that'll be the base for it. I think it's at 2 inches. It's a little less than that. But if memory serves, I think it's 1 7/8 inches. And we've got, oh yeah, we're way over. That's much with disapproving. Yeah, that won't work. My colleagues will jump my case. It's too big. You turn it too small, then you got to go change chuck jaws and keep in mind, it will shrink on you. Yeah, it's really close there. Let's see if we got it. Okay. I know when freshly cut wood, you will get really wet. All right, so I'm going to try to take this curve up to the edge. I'm going to catch it, didn't have the tool. And on the top, I'll come back the other way. We're okay right now. So Glenn, if I may, when did you go to John C. Campbell? How recent were you at John C. Campbell? Oh, were you? Okay. I know they have a new director in the wood turning studio. So I'm trying to get this shape around here. Probably not as steep as it could be, but we're trying to get this up. So we'll get this side, this edge all the way up to this side, and the edge up this side, and then we'll turn it around. See how it fits in that chuck. Well, they certainly have some good programs down at John C. Campbell. I know recently Jeff Hornick taught one remote. And they took classes. He was here in St. Louis, remote. They came in line. He gave them direction, went back to their forges and did back to the lathes, did some work, and then went back online to talk about it. And they weren't down at the school. I haven't got any feedback on Jeff, how he liked it, but I could see a benefit if traveling was, a problem. You had to work that and you could multitask because that, it's about a 10-hour drive from here. Okay, so I've got this. It's not, I want to get more of this part of the bowl out. See, it's kind of flat there. So we'll work that. How are we doing on time, gentlemen? It's 2:14. Thank you. So I'm going to try to get that little less flat. See it? Everybody in the back row, are we losing you? So it's just got a smoother taper. The walnut one over there, it's got kind of a flat. It's got a little smoother taper. So then we're gonna take and turn this around. And again, just a reminder, I have a few pieces if you want with me. You can go home and practice. Remember, I brought some saran wrap somewhere. Oh, there it is. So we can wrap it up. If you don't do it in the next 2-3 days or in a week, it will turn into dust or cracks, many cracks. All right, I've got a ridge there. We're getting close to the top. It's got a flat spot there, got a ridge. And I want to come back from the top just a little bit so I don't get tear out. Get a shortcut. And I shortcut this. We don't have to sand. I don't want to sand because we got a shortage of sandpaper right now. All right, so I kind of like that shape there. Not quite to that edge. That edge is not quite there on that one. And you can see, can we see on the camera? This is, about 1/4 inch from this edge and about 3/4 from that edge. It's definitely not centered. But that's what you're working for, to try to get the heartwood centered. Now, with this and this, you can adjust that to get it right. When you cut this hole in it, you're kind of limiting that. But it depends on, are you trying to get a piece done, or you're trying to really get that heartwood to really match in the middle there. All right, let's see what it looks like. Okay, so I got that flatness out. That's not bad, not bad. Let's see if we've got enough room. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, what else should I be doing? Anybody? Back row? With me? What else should I be putting in there? Come on, talk to me. I'm losing you. Why saran wrap? Anybody? Okay. All right, not supposed to leave that in the chuck. Anybody on the saran wrap? Because the metal will cause the tannins and yolk to go gray. And there's examples over on that bench. Find out. Okay. So if you don't have it, you don't have it. It just so happens that I brought it. There was 2 reasons today. I didn't get right. Okay.
Tom, is that only on certain wood?
Wet.
Always agree with.
Wet. Yeah, you're gonna get the metal. It's gonna oxidize it, especially oak, because of the tannins in it. You see it on a couple of those there. I know it's on that. You can pass it around. Yeah. Don't throw it, but you can pass that thing around. It's no. Yeah. Or you can show them. All right. Yeah, you're good. All right, I'm gonna get rid of that big one. I'm gonna take this out, put it over here. Big one back. Okay, I've turned it around and I've got saran wrap in it. I don't know how well, we'll see how that. and I've got it chucked up real nice. And so we're going to start in and try, I don't know, let's shoot for a 1/4 inch, see what we get to the inside of this bowl, and not go through. Now, if you're just starting out and you're worried about not getting that edge in, you're worried about getting that catch, you could, or yeah, one or two things. You really got to start this here. All right, you got, all right. Really get the tool out here so that you've got an edge coming in, or you could take and put a step in if you want with the parting tool or another similar to like tool. So you want to get a ledge in there. So I'm going to get back over here. We're going to start. Move the tool rest a little closer in there. Where I want, okay. And I don't know who brought the short tool rest, but I thank you because yours truly forgot his. School, yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I'm glad it was here. All right, so I'm going to work to got an edge. All right, I've got it. I've got it at about 2 o'clock. The bowl gouge. I don't have it almost closed. Then as I start to cut inside, I've opened it up. I'm getting a little vibration at get the tool rest up a little bit too high, so I'm going to stop and roll it back a little bit. It's quite a bit shorter than, okay. Let's see if we can try this again. Too big a cut, too big a cut. I know the back row can hear it. Now, one thing I didn't do, and I probably should have, which was find out how deep we're going to go. I could have drilled a hole in, determine the depth. I'll just do that with a pencil right now. Come back in and roughly see where we're at. Okay. You don't want to go through. I am going to work the edges up here a little bit more. No, I know. Sorry. So I'm going to start down this edge. All right, so I don't have a, that's not bad. It's a little thick. That's not a bad edge there. So I'm checking the thickness around here. It's a touch thicker than a 1/4 inch on the sides, but I will try to work the bottom and clean up that bottom so that it. All right, and right now I'm checking. Right now I'm checking to make sure I'm not going to hit the tool rest as I'm coming around. Keep in mind, you're using a tool rest at home. It may not be exactly like this one right here that's got tons of steel down here. So make sure you check on to make sure that something you assumed at one place is not a bad assumption in another place. All right, so I'm going to clean up the bottom. It's not got a bad transition.
You ready for a question?
We can stop quite, yes.
All right. Problem I have with the natural edge is that getting the wall thickness the same left to right or one side to the other. I get one side that's thin and the other side will be thicker. How do you adjust?
Well, okay, so the backside, you got to start with the backside. That's got to be even because it's got to be have a nice arc that came up from the back because that sets for the front. Did you get this even on the back? So when it's spinning even all the way around. My first question, did you get spit? And if you did, then this should be, okay, so you're a little thick. Okay, I see. I'm a little thick right here, Charlie. Yeah. Right there, a little bit thick. Okay, so what I can do is I'll take a next cut and it'll be right here down. And because it's just a touch thick versus this.
Okay, so you start wherever it's thick, you start the cut there as
Yeah.
opposed to starting from the outside edge and
They-
trying to come in.
They were, but it's a little bit thicker there, so I'll have to take a cut. So I understand your question. So I took the cut, and remember this is at an angle, so you want to look at it straight on because looking at this way, it looks like it's wider. I took the cut deeper in the bowl and just worked on that part where it was heavier.
Gotcha. Okay. Everybody else got that? You got it, Tom. Okay.
You could use a different gouge to clean out the bottom. Some of these have I can't remember the name, 40-degree, what's that? The bottom? Bottom bowl gouge. I don't have one. And as somebody piped up in the audience, you use a scraper. And I have a cool scraper. It's made by instructor out in California. I don't know where he's moved to, but he was he had a lot of tools that he had modified. And I don't know if he's, let's see where he go. So this is a modified actually to make cups, 1 inch. But it's a good where we go. Okay.
Somebody do it from overhead.
No, it's okay. So you use a scraper to get the bottom. It will help you. You've got green wood, you don't have dry wood. So we'll scrape the bottom here and get this cleaned up a little bit. My tool rests a little bit high. You got to catch with the finger, cut the edge. Just a reminder, you got a lot of wood going around there. And as you just heard there, I gently caught a digit on one of the edges. So be careful. Just gently scrape out the bottom. Now, could go a little bit deeper. You may.
Tool is turned right. Because you're turning a lot of air.
Correct?
So if you kind of spin that for the folks so they can see it. I don't know if that makes sense to anybody. But it's also something you have to watch.
Sure.
You can catch yourself pretty easy.
Well, coming in here, right between here,
Right.
this edge here, and this edge here, if you're not careful, you can easily get a catch if you're pushing too hard.
Yeah.
And if you're pushing this way, as opposed to coming down this edge here, writing this, or right in the beginning, you don't get it right and don't follow this path down, and you start pushing out, yeah, you could get a catch.
Yeah, you got to be
tool
steady
go
with
out.
your tool
Mhm.
so it doesn't
Yeah.
fly out the edge.
You got a little bit of rough material over here, but I maybe get a sharper edge on that. But we'll take that off. Questions? Anybody in the back row? Because the front row falling asleep, guys. They've fallen asleep already. Again, I have, see, one's already taken. I had 6 pieces, so there's 4 left. 2 are drilled, 2 are not.
The piece you showed that had the tannins from not having saran wrap, does
Yeah.
that sand off or is it in?
No, it'll sand off. I mean, you
Okay,
could,
it's just very much on the surface.
you could put a jam chuck here, put and I forgot to do that here, Becky. I should have put a center point, yeah. And I purposely took the center point out because I do that a lot. I don't like the center point left in there, took it out. But if we put a center point back in, so when we re-chuck it, that it gets up, so it's not off. But yes, you could sand them out. Or you get a sharp spindle gouge, or you could go in with a parting tool, but they'll come off. They're not that deep,
Okay,
but they're there. So yeah, one of the it's got a little more pleasing shape that it's not as wide as the other ones. Pass it around, put it on eBay, give it away. Don't burn it. Don't burn it. And I tell you that I gave some stuff to a relative. We'll just leave it at that. And they chose the latter to get rid of something as opposed to regifting it or giving it to the Goodwill. Moving right along. No other questions? All right. So we got free wood. We got free sandpaper. We got free advice. Oh, we've got some giveaways. You got some giveaways on the. Wayne's the winner.
This time you get. There is a tool from Rockler back there, for the prize, so. Multi-million-dollar prize.
Well, actually, that tool, with a little bit of feedback on that tool, it is supposed to save you a bunch of time, and that time is worth money. And that save time, and money, you're going to make you more efficient. Oh, by the way, your output needs to be increased tenfold with that tool. Sir,
Finishing wet wood, not going to say it tends to crack if you turned it all the way. I've had good luck right away after you're done putting walnut oil on it and just keep putting it on as it dries.
Keep-
Weighing every day.
No.
Depends on it takes a week, I'll finish it, but I've had real good luck with not having cracks. Keep putting walnut oil.
yeah, that bowl going around, it probably could stand to be, I don't know. Ask Michael, probably could tell us what, 1/8 inch, Michael? With your experience, I mean, no, to get less chance of getting cracks? 3/16? No, I think he's probably, that's not 3/16, it's closer to a quarter. But, yeah, I have time restraint. I made my time. That, yeah, my production with the boss made my time slot. I don't care what it was, anyway. One thing I will coach you on, and I was asleep at the wheel on one of these. I left that doggone pith right here on this one. And I should have cut it off. That is, I have this problem. I can't, if I have a big piece of wood, I use the whole thing and I have a hard time getting rid of it. I have one of my shortcomings and I should have had this off. I just take the thing off. My friends down at Festus slapped me upside the head down, and tell me, get rid of it. Wood's free. So here on this one right here, you can see I should have had the pith cut off completely. And then once the pith's removed, then go work it because it provided additional cracks in there. This is really for Val. All right, it got additional crack. So what is the additional cracks going to be in there? Anybody? Wayne, tell me what's the additional cracks going to cost me. Mike, tell me what's going to additional cracks. More time. Yeah, more time on what is what? $5, $10? So you're spending more time chasing something that you should have done right, and you're more time on it. And the other thing you have to think about is wood turners is this energy you want to spend on this piece of wood or go get a better piece of wood? Seriously. Yes, sir.
Comment on edge of the bowls. Internet and TV. Internet and TV is calling it live edge. That edge is as dead as the rest of the bowl.
Thank you, Michael.
It's natural edge to wood turners.
That'd be a little bit of an oxymoron, wouldn't it? Touche. Best thing I heard all day. Okay, so we're gonna go outside. Yeah. Natural edge. Yeah. Okay. Oh, real quick on this bias one, we'll get, what's the time? What's the time? 2:39, pretty close. We'll talk about this next time. This would be kind of fun one. The pith is coming right through here. The only reason I didn't make more is I asked Jeff Hornig how he did on his. There was a class there in 2016, and when he took him to the shows, most people, you know what people did with this thing? They picked it up and they went like this. The object is Boland. I think it's Boland, the instructor. Boland. No, not Bowler. The instructor that taught the class. He displays them like this. But if you cut them correctly, you can get, and I made this too thin, you can get this cantilever effect. if this, this is 4 inches, it should have been 3. But maybe some other time. These were kind of cool. You need green wood, and it'd be nice if it was cut within a week, but it's still kind of fun. The pith goes through and you're offset and you're turning it and you get the ball on the one side and then you come back in and then work this side. But a couple more times to get acclimated to it. Okay, we're gonna put up the chairs. Wayne's gonna go